Hello everyone, I'm Richard Wong of Work to Live podcast version. This time, what I'd like to talk about is as title says, if you are thinking of committing crime, you can become a great criminal, which is about which I'd like to talk about stuff. So, you know, as the title says, if you continuously think about committing crime or how to commit crimes, you can become a great you can become a great criminal or great criminals. And some of you think that is absurd because if somebody commits crime, the police is going to arrest the person, which is what which is the case to you know in most in most developed countries. I don't know the situations of developing countries, but in most developed countries, the police has strong power, which is why criminals are arrested in in most cases in ordinary cases. But what I'd like to talk about is not that stuff, which means what I'd like to talk about is not if you commit crime you are going to be arrested. But what I'd like to talk about is that you should not think bad stuff. You should not think bad stuff, which is what I'd like you to know this time. So taking I used an example of committing crime, but that is true because if you are thinking of how to commit crime, so if you think about if you continuously think about how to commit crimes, you can imagine like or you'd imagine like how to steal things from a shop or from shops, or how to pickpocket, or how to swindle, or how to deceive others, or in some cases how to sexually assault others, or like which you are going if you think about how to commit crime, you are going to you are going to imagine how to commit crimes in in real situations, like which if you continuously think about bad stuff, such bad stuff are going to be true, or such bad stuff are coming to be true, which is what I'd like you to know. So which is why you should not think bad stuff, and this is true because maybe some of you, or maybe most of you, or all of you have studied, mathematics, reading skills, and sciences, and in some countries, histories of your countries or histories of your regions, and if you're not native speaker of English language, if you're not native speaker of English language, you'd have studied English in schools, for example. So, like which, cause so you can understand that if you study if you study those subjects, you can raise your own grades. You can understand that point because if you study mathematics, you can raise your own grade. So if you study reading, you can raise the grade of reading, and if you study science, you can your the score of your science test is going to rise or increase. And some of you may say that you are bad at you are bad at you know those studying, you are bad at studying, or I'm bad at studying. You may say such a thing, but what I'd like to tell you is not that stuff. What I'd like you to know, or what I'd like you to understand is that if you study, you can raise your own grades from who you are. Like if you study English, or if you study something, you can you know you can raise the score of the test about that subject from from comparing with who you are before, which is what I'd like you to know. So, like which, if you continuously think bad stuff, like you can't succeed because it's a depression time, or you can't depression time, or there is an economic depression, or you can't, or things do not go well because it's the era of the pandemic of coronavirus, or you may think that things I can't do, and I can't do anything because I'm not talented, or I'm not able, which is what you may think in most cases, so which is why which is why you do not challenge anything. You do not challenge in any field, which is some of you may be challenging in some fields, but ordinary people do not challenge in any fields. Which and they they work, they study and they work and they die, which is like which they spend they spend times they spend times, normally or idly or, lazily or, boringly, stuff like that. So, if you'd like to change your own life, so if you'd like to change your own life, what you have, you should stop thinking about bad stuff. So what you have to concentrate on is, of course, if you'd like to succeed in business field, you have to think about business teams you'd like to create. And apart from which, I would like you to understand is that you should eliminate bad stuff from your own mind or from your own consciousness, which is how you can concentrate on success. What you can concentrate on changing or changing your own life or improving your own life from who you are or from what it is before, which is what I'd like you to know this time. And I have created some long some long episodes. I have created some long episodes, so I'd like to end this episode here. I'd like to stop recording this episode. So that's it. Thank you very much for your listening, and I hope your success, and I pray for your success. See you.